Good morning and welcome to Coffee Ann, the longest running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question to the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsocket.radio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee Ann panel.
It's Coffee Ann here on ON AM and FM. Thanks for joining us this morning. My name's Joe Callahan. It's Thursday. It's November 7th, and at the Coffee Ann table, we'll say good morning to Bob Lauder. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
And nice to have you here with us.
I asked you once before, but what is
Yes.
the raging horse on your shirt?
It's a raging horse. There it is, right there. It's the mascot for Boise State University,
Wow.
where I went to school for a year.
I would have thought their mascot
the
would have been
Broncos.
just ears of corn or something like that.
No, you're thinking potatoes.
Potatoes. Okay.
No.
Having gone to URI and having, the fine education that they provide.
Yes.
I can understand why Boise, Idaho would be considered just, the potato guys.
So you are the Rams. Now you also went to law school in Virginia.
Right.
What was their mascot?
We did not have a mascot for the
how weak is that?
football team.
No, for the school in general.
Oh, the school in general?
Yeah. Every school's got a mascot.
We were the colonels.
The colonels?
Yep.
Like an army colonel.
Like the Army colonels.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think we were the colonels. Oh, we were the generals for General Lee. It's been a long time, man. And I wasn't out there on the field.
Well, that's okay. That's fine. But you never bought a shirt that said,
The shirts that I bought
School
all
Valley.
said W&L, Washington and Lee.
Washington.
Yeah.
Okay. So generals makes more sense
Yeah, it does.
than colonels. Do you know what the mascot was? Was it someone with a musket? Any idea? Is it all coming back to you, Bob?
Not in the least.
No. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, anyway.
I was
but
doing
yeah,
other
it's-
things, and it wasn't
it's,
drinking or anything like that. It was, studying hard like my parents expected.
Good for you. All right.
Well, at least that was the letters I sent home.
We will be joined by Sue Tester McKenzie from the Blackstone Valley Call and Times. She's just running a little bit late, so she'll be here momentarily. So in the meantime, though, so I was started to tell Bob, in Massachusetts, how lax it is, I guess, is the lack of a better word, for voting. And Bob said he could find my name and address by looking at the tax assessor's website of the town
Yes,
I live in. And
right.
It's that easy.
Yes.
Wow.
If you, well, in Rhode Island,
Yep.
all the cities and towns have the information on the website. If you type in that you want to find out where I live, you would type in, City of Woonsocket Tax Assessor's Office. It'll come up with a little screen. It'll ask you to put in my name, and it then will come up with the properties that I own that are taxed in the city.
Wow.
And
That's
so I was
pretty
going to
simple.
plan on Tuesday morning to call you up and say that I had done this and I had voted in your stead, just knowing that you wouldn't have the time to get there, and drive you a little bit crazier than you really are. But I decided not to
You're
be
such
that mean
a
and
lawful
evil.
person, Bob. So
Right,
thanks.
right.
So they, from the last time I voted, they do it a little different. They used to have the real big books with everybody's name printed out and like that, and they actually had a red pencil to check off if you voted and like that. But they moved into the 21st century, so the poll workers all have iPads now, and that's how they do it. And so, but they ask you your information differently now. And so when we stepped up, it was okay. What's your last name?
Okay.
Last name first, then your first name.
Yep.
Then what's your address?
Okay.
And then they look, and then it all comes up, and they say, "Here you are. Okay, you're on the voting roll. We see that you have not voted." They put a little check. Or they actually printed up they print up a little like a barcode, and they hand you that, and they hand you the ballot.
Okay.
Okay, go vote. And then when you come to the checkout, you hand the barcode to the person. They also ask you the same name, same information, last name, first name, address. But what I thought was odd, and I don't know why they have these little barcodes. It must mean something to somebody, because when I gave the barcode to this lady, she said thanks and just put it into a little basket. She doesn't scan it. She doesn't do anything with it except put it in this little container.
Do you realize they have a higher degree of security when I pick up drugs at Walgreens?
I know.
They ask at least for my birth date,
Yeah.
besides name and address.
Oh, they might have asked for birthday too. You're right. They might have asked that.
Okay, because if it's just, I can say your name backwards, Callahan Joseph.
Yeah.
I could have looked up your address.
Yeah. Okay, maybe
and
maybe
they
did
use a
ask
red
data for,
pencil to mark it off. Boy,
well, they
you
use-
guys, you have security over there that's
no more red pencils because
No
they
more
got the
red
well they got the
pencils.
iPads now, so it works out better. But this is what bugged me when I went to go vote, and so I brought my daughter for the first time to vote, so she's waiting for me and to put the ballot into the machine. There's three other voters hanging around the ballot, the machine that you put the ballot in, and they're talking to each other, and they were friends, and they hadn't seen each other in a few years. And so they're catching up on each other's lives. And I'm thinking to myself, you're in the way. There's a line behind you of people that want to put the ballot in. All you had to do was move 5 feet over there into an open space, and you could have talked for hours.
You must have a very active polling station. I went
Well,
to
it's
the one
big.
here in Woonsocket at Harris School,
Yeah.
and there was a large number of voting booths that you could stand at, I think maybe a dozen, and there were 2 or 3 people occupying them. There was no line whatsoever. Mm-hmm. We didn't have a line of people waiting to do anything.
Well, my town is broken down into 7 precincts.
All right.
So you had to go to your precinct based on your address, your street address. And so we were over there in number 7. That's where we were supposed to be.
Okay, that's where I would have failed because I wouldn't have known
No,
what
what- no.
precinct you were in.
Well, you would have.
Okay.
You're a smart man, Bob, because when you when you walked into the building,
Right.
there's placards on the wall and on the floor. Mm-hmm. Those triangular placard things, and you find your street, and it tells you what precinct to go to before you even walk into where the polling takes place.
Yeah, but that would presume that I had a map in my mind and I knew where
No,
your street
no.
was located.
You didn't need that. All you need to know is the name.
The name of your street.
Yeah, you go down, Smith Street, let's say,
Right.
and then you find Smith Street, and you look over, you're precinct 7. And then,
Darn.
so when you walk into where you vote, you look for the big banner says precinct 7, and you walk right there. But it's just, it's just that they were a tad bit inconsiderate.
2 years
Move
from
away
now-
from the voting machine
You better get up real early in the morning and be
Why?
there right when the doors
because
open.
you're gonna.
Because 2 years from now, I've got a plan.
I don't think we vote in 2 years.
Well,
will
you vote for governor or something like that.
I'm not sure when that comes up again, so I think we
Oh.
do it again in 4 years. So there you go.
Okay.
So, all right. Anything you want to say about the presidential election, Bob?
Not really. It's
No?
going to be an interesting 4 years. That's about as far as I'll go.
It's so funny because I had a teacher in college, an English teacher, and she said when we're writing out papers about whatever we got to write on, never tell me something's interesting. You know why? It says nothing. It's a throwaway word. Oh, that's so interesting. Well,
That
why
may
is
be
why is
the
it
reason
interesting?
why
is
I've
what it
used
comes
the
down to.
word.
Okay. I did listen to Harris speak last night. I did see what the Obamas put out, and I'm happy to see that they both agree. There's no fighting going on here. They both said, okay, Trump has won, and we look forward to a peaceful transition of power. I'm like, hey, great.
Well, we're
None of this.
We're going to be missing
It was stolen from us, and we're gonna, and like that.
Well,
so there's gonna be
wasn't
none
that
of that.
referred to by the president-elect as being a day of love? And I guess we're not going to experience a day of love in January of 2025.
Well, unless you want to do it again, you and I, Bob.
A day of love between you and I?
No, that's not what I
We
mean.
got to have heavy drinking first, man. Really
No.
heavy drinking.
You and I, we can go down to D.C. and we'll storm the Capitol. No?
If you and I were going to D.C., there might be some other things that we could do that would be less dangerous than that.
All right. Well, we're moving on, and they expect a peaceful transition of power on Inauguration Day in January. So, but closer to home, any thoughts on the mayoral race here in the city of Woonsocket?
Well, I think you had 2 very good candidates. And when John Ward was on with this program
Last week,
and I asked him questions about what he saw as the main issues and how he would respond to those issues, I thought he gave very good answers. I think Chris Beauchamp is a very good candidate who's had experience both as mayor and as being on the council. So I think we had 2 very good candidates running. I was surprised that Mr. Beauchamp won only because Mr. Ward had won in the primary ahead of Mr. Beauchamp.
Did very well in the primary.
Yeah, so there was an additional number of voters who voted in in the election as opposed to the primary, and that swung it differently. So I think that the city is lucky to have had two very good candidates who either one of whom had won was going to do a good job and be a credit to the city. I was surprised that when they were counting the final votes on the city council, that Iman Raja, who had apparently been the winner in the city council at the very end of the 7 votes, was defeated by, I think it was Ms. Fox, who was 8 votes ahead of him.
Yeah.
Which goes to show that your vote really counts. I mean, an 8-vote difference is
So
pretty
tiny.
small when you look at the total number of people who were voting in the election. So, yeah, go out, and it's important that if you have a candidate, you go out and vote for them.
We had that story today down in Louisiana for mayor down there, and the challenger beat the incumbent by 1 vote,
Wow.
118 to 117.
That must be a small town for that.
Oh
number of
yeah, it is.
votes,
It's a
but-
tiny
Yeah.
Louisiana town, sure.
Right,
When only
right.
250 there go out and vote. So yeah, but yeah, you're in elections like that, mayor, city council,
Right.
things like that. Your vote really does count, and that kind of thing. So yeah. So things. You can see it in the Blackstone Valley Call and Times. Nice pictures from Joe Nato. Nice big picture of Chris Beauchamp hugging his wife, and a big celebratory situation that took place at the Italian Working Men's Club. And I've been lucky, Bob, over my career. I've been able to go to on election night. I've been at headquarters where the candidate has won, and I've been at headquarters where the candidate has lost. And I'm telling you, if you're lucky enough to be at the place where the candidate has won, that is a good time. There is nothing but joyfulness and happiness and celebrations going on. It is a fun time if you happen to be at the winners area. So, and they were having a good time at the Italian Working Men's Club.
Good.
This past Tuesday night. So
Now, people are not saying to you, like, Joe Callahan, he's a real winner. They don't say it in that same phraseology.
no, when I show up, they're not like, "Oh, good, Joe's here."
Okay.
He brings good luck. No, they're like, they don't say
darn.
anything. So
Darn.
So there you go.
Okay.
All right. There's no real sports to talk about, Bob, right now.
Why
so,
not?
So,
Well,
what do you want
the
to know?
Dodgers won the series. I know
Okay.
that's last week, and you had the prediction that they were going to win in 5,
7,
and you
and-
tund out to be right.
No, I said 5,
your
but
first one
I
was-
really meant 7, and then they won in 5. But here's a question for you. The from
A
the
sports
lawyer
question?
not really. It just
Sue's
deal-
not here to help
It
me.
just deals with sports figures. And I don't know if you heard about this, but there's
Ty Cobb?
no. There's a former NFL player last Saturday that was at a college football game, and he was walking towards. I think he was working the game, and he's walking along, and people are cheering him and fist bumping him, but someone didn't like him, and he said some pretty derogatory things about him and his family and Taylor Swift and like that. So he turned around and grabbed the guy's cell phone and slammed it to the ground,
Okay.
and then left and went on to do his job. Now, as normal, other people have filmed him doing this. He's guilty of doing this. You can see it. It's pretty evident that it's him. I think he's working for ESPN, and ESPN basically said to him behind closed doors, "You better make an apology."
Okay.
And he did.
All right.
Came out, said he was sorry. He shouldn't have done what he did. He basically said, "I confronted hate, and hate came to me, and you shouldn't confront hate with more hate." That was basically what he was saying. He should have turned and kept walking, but he retired. But nothing in the I read the whole apology, and I'm thinking, but nothing in here says what he did to replace the phone, or if he replaced the phone.
Okay.
So, would the other person have a case against Jason Kelsey? Hey, you just smashed my phone, and I got plenty of video evidence of you smashing my phone.
I would expect he does. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So maybe I just didn't hear about it, and he said, "Well, here's $100 and
Do phones
get
go
another
that
phone."
cheap anymore?
And well, I don't know.
If you're getting a Princess phone, maybe.
Not. Wow, Bob, you are showing your age there.
But Sue
Princess
came in.
phone.
And Sue looks
Yes,
fantastic.
Sue Tesser
And it
McKenzie.
is so good to see you after all the time you've been away working on the call. Wow.
Yes, nice to be back.
Glad to have you here, Sue. We're going to talk with Sue coming up, but we're going to take our first break here on the Coffee and Panel, so more coming your way. We ask you to please stay tuned. We're going to get to a message as well. Messages can be called in at 766-1240.
You know, when you're paying the right price for protection, you just know it. It's that warm, fuzzy, totally secure feeling, knowing that you're not only getting great coverage, but you're also not paying too much for it. And when it comes to your insurance, there's no one better at getting the right price for your protection than Allstate agents Kara and Celeste Benjamin, because they know when it comes to your bank account, every penny counts towards something bigger. Something better, like a nicer car, that home update you've been dreaming of, or a phone that's fresh out of the box. Those little or big things that we work so hard for. And Kara and Celeste Benjamin want to help you work a little less by getting you the coverage you need and the savings you deserve when you switch to Allstate. Contact Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. One agency, 2 locations in North Smithfield and Bellingham. 765-5000 for a free quote today. Allstate, you're in good hands. And you're in good hands with Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. Savings vary based on the average annual savings reported by new auto customers surveyed in 2019 who switched to Allstate.
The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee Roasters. All their coffee is roasted right here in Rhode Island. Down East Coffee Roasters is available at all Little General stores.
Have you heard of Scott McGee with RE/MAX Properties? He's been selling real estate in Rhode Island and Massachusetts for the last 17 years, and you can see that he loves what he does. Scott, as well as his team, take pride in what they call the fair and honest team. No gimmicks. And no, they're not buying your house if it doesn't sell, etc. Just fair and honest real estate. Scott personally works with tons of sellers and buyers and specializes in residential properties as well as commercial, and he's always very fair and offers super competitive rates. Remember, this is probably the biggest move in dollars that you will ever spend or receive. You want to go with a trusted and experienced agent. Scott is fair, honest, and modest, always puts the clients first. And he also dealt with literally almost any situation. You really need to look at your real estate needs as a business. You want to pay and get the right money now so that you're not paying for it later. Trust me. So why not give Scott McGee a call at 401-639-2906. That's 401-639-2906.
It's Coffee and on ON, AM, and FM. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with Bob Lauder, Sue Tesser McKenzie from the Blackstone Valley Call-in-Times. And Sue, time for first message from the newspaper.
Good morning, everybody. So we're in November, which means holiday advertising. Holidays are coming fast, fast, fast. I can't even believe it. But they're here. So if anybody's looking for anything, whether it's digital marketing or print advertising, just give me a call. You can call my cell phone at 487-4136. And we're pretty much in the office regularly now that the summer's over. But there are still many, many vacation days coming. So if you need anything and there's nobody in the office, call my cell. A woman called me yesterday. Christina had just stepped out to get a cup of coffee. So by all means, call me on my cell phone, 487-4136, and we will get you taken care of.
All right there, Sue. It was pretty funny because going out to see people right after Autumn Fest. And I said, well, I said, hi, everyone. Well, Autumn Fest is over, so let me be the first to say Merry Christmas.
Right.
And they're like, what? I said, and I'm handing them stuff. I said, sorry, it's Christmas time. Whether you like it or not, it is Christmas time.
It's true.
So let's go. And
What about Thanksgiving?
No.
What about Halloween?
Forget
Well,
it.
no, because
you got to plan so far.
as
in
a
advance.
rule, you know who you have to talk to for Halloween and who you have to talk to for Thanksgiving. And you also know who you talk to for Christmas, and some of the Thanksgiving and Christmas are the same customers. So, yeah, you know who you have to talk to ahead of time and who.
And some
That's
said,
a lot more planning than I would expect.
well, some,
a lot more.
yeah, and some said, yeah, you're right, and others like, oh, really? I said,
Most say,
yes.
really.
Yeah.
Let's face
Sorry, it's Christmas. So here we go. Anyway, note that was called in 766-1240. Back onto the political stuff about Donald Trump. Don't be surprised if he has a meeting with Putin and they come up with a solution to Ukraine. The only 4 years we weren't in new wars was under Trump. So, he ran on kind of that as one of his things. He will settle the war in the Ukraine, and he also thinks he can settle the war against Israel and Hamas. So, all right, let's put his feet to the fire, Bob, and see if he can get it done.
Let's see what happens.
I mean, you can't. He doesn't
Those
tell you
are
exactly
both-
how he's going to do
Those
it.
are both laudable goals.
Yeah. And another note that was called in 766-1240 sports wise, Bob. So
Great.
So I'll talk to Sue about it.
Wait a minute.
Well,
I remember sports.
yeah. Who's Jim Montgomery? Okay, Sue. Jim Montgomery is the head coach of the Boston Bruins.
Okay, great.
Montgomery's
Good.
in the hot seat. Him calling out players is not good. It's too early in the season for that. I hadn't heard he had done that. So Bruins are not playing as well as they should.
So
Let's put it that
he's
way.
the coach, and he's calling out in the sense of chastising them or
Yes,
removing
if-
them from playing.
No, both. If I'm the coach, I'm like calling you out in the press, saying you're not playing well. You're not playing up to your potential, Bob. So get out there,
Okay.
and do better. Their best player, arguably one of their best player, David Pasternak on Sunday was benched in the third period.
Now, was he benched because of
Well, he-
transgressions that
no.
the coach saw, or because he
Yeah,
wasn't
well,
playing as well as the coach thought someone
He
else
made
could
he
play?
made a real bad error in the second period,
All right.
and gave the it didn't result in anything bad happening, which turned out good. But he's like, your head's not in the game, that kind of thing. So
All right.
you sit down,
And
and
the
it
coach
sends and it sends a message to the other players.
The coach then thinks that the substitute that he sent in is going to do a better job than the one he's
Or he's going to try
withdrawn.
better. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Mm-hmm. As
So-
for chastising him in public by saying this guy's a complete
Well,
loser and should be
they
using
won't-
rubber
no,
skates.
He
no,
wouldn't.
that's-
He wouldn't say that. That
Right.
you don't say. You comment on how they're just not playing up to their potential.
okay, that's
They should.
that's
They're being paid a ton of money. They should be playing a lot better.
all right.
So
Okay.
speaking of money.
Yes.
All right. No, it's a sad story. A man's driving south on 95. It's like 3 a.m, and he stops on 95 because I think he sees
3 in the morning?
Yeah, people drive at 3 a.m.
No, but I thought it was later than that. If you're about to talk about the same thing I'm thinking of, because you did say speaking about money.
Well, he got out and was grabbing money that was cash that was on the highway.
Where
I thought that
did
was
the-
at 3 a.m. No, did I get
I
that wrong?
thought it was later. I'll Google that while you keep talking.
Where did the cash on the highway come from?
They haven't said. So now he's out.
$1 bills, it said.
It was just dollar bills.
That's what it said last night.
All right, here we go. That's not it. That's not it.
$1 bills. Maybe they were paying off an election debt.
All right. Emergency crews responded to the northbound lanes near exit 36B, which is Point Street on 95, just before 6 a.m.
All right.
All right, so
I
it's-
saw that-
But it was still dark.
It was still dark. Okay.
That's what I.
They say he's from Florida. His name is Elliot McCourt. He stopped his car on 95 South near the Eddy Street, Barton Street exit, crossed that side of the highway, then was hit by an SUV while attempting to cross the northbound lanes. And then the police were out there scooping up money.
I saw
that was
that.
in the road. Well, they think he was out there trying to scoop up money too.
All right. I'm just surprised as to where the money may have come from.
Yeah, normally it doesn't fly out of those armored cars. Brinks is usually pretty good at that. And the other, I can't think of the other name of armored cars, but those guys, that's all locked up. That's all movie stuff you see flying out of the back. So it could have been in the back of someone's car. And I don't know, some people just get, ooh, hey, free money. And then and unfortunately, now the person that hit him, they stopped and they're cooperating with police and they're not being charged with anything. It's just,
Wow.
have you ever seen an accident where the driver of the car was not charged? Because I have.
Well, I
I
think
have. Yeah, because dude's on 95, for God's sake,
Yeah.
or 195, whatever it was. And so what I saw in the video were two other men also trying to get the money.
I'm
And
sure there were
this
more,
was
yeah.
video. I'm looking straight at it, and it's in the high-speed lane, and cars are going, and the guys are like reaching to get the money, so the cars had to stop.
Right.
So yeah, I very definitely wouldn't hold the driver responsible for something like that.
I think that money can be certainly an attractive factor, but when you give realistic to it, is it worth your life to try and pick up even $100 bills that may be floating along in the middle of I-95 in the dark with high speed traffic? No. Leave
I'm
it
still
alone.
You say
curious
that,
where
but
it
people always
came
say,
from.
"Oh, I can." Yeah, I said, "Nah, I can. I know what I'm doing. I can avoid getting hit."
Everybody thinks they can avoid getting
Well,
hit.
sure.
Right. Okay.
No, I saw an accident happen. I was two cars behind somebody on a 2-lane road, and a kid decided to run across the street, and there were cars coming in both directions.
Yeah.
And he almost made it.
Ugh.
And the car that was 2 cars in front of me clipped like his right ankle
Oh, jeez.
and spun him around, and he dropped. So a bunch of us called 911, and the 911 operator guy said, I said, well, there's been an accident, and a car's hit a child, and they said, oh, is he hurt? I said, well, I'm no medical professional, but in my guess, his ankle is broke.
Right.
Oh, okay, we'll send an ambulance. Yeah, you better do that. And so the woman that hit him, she was distraught.
Of course.
She was just, I can't believe this. But 5 of us, 5 other drivers, all told the police this is not her fault.
Right.
This was all the kid's fault. And she didn't get charged with anything.
Good.
So, because we were all there to say, no, this was him trying to get across the road when he shouldn't have.
Well, little kids don't have the same judgment that an adult
Well,
does.
I'm
so,
talking
yeah.
but he was like 13 or 14. I'm
He
not
knew
talking
better.
like 5.
Right.
I'm talking a teenager
Okay.
that was trying to, because his friend made it, because there were 2 of them. I remember that.
Yeah.
now. There were 2 friends
They're
trying to
playing
run across the
chicken.
street. Kind of. And his friend made it across. And so he thought he could too. And he almost did. And he got clipped right at the end.
Wow.
And so,
That was like playing Pac-Man.
yeah.
Pac-Man?
Yeah.
I remember Pac-Man as a
Right.
video
So
game years ago.
Right. Not Pac-Man. What's Mario? You know how they run and try to avoid getting hit and all this? Yeah, that was
Mario Brothers.
that was a challenge some years back to
Yep.
do that.
He didn't make
Okay.
it. But I'm glad to see that the driver didn't get cited for that little incident as well.
In my youth, we just tried to run across the Pony Express when they were heading out west.
And you should avoid horses at full gallop, Bob.
Okay.
They're powerful animals.
Good. Good.
All right. Coventry Police released body cam video. A man, this is probably one of the only incidents that took place in Rhode Island. He caused a disturbance at a polling place on election day. He's yelling obscenities and vulgar remarks at campaign workers and election officials and voters outside the Maple Root Baptist Church in Coventry, and he's wearing a shirt that remarks his displeasure for Vice President Harris and how you shouldn't be. So I guess he was yelling at the Democrats that were holding up signs for her. That's the only thing I can think he was doing. So police came and they asked him to move on a couple of times, and he didn't. So now you're trespassing. So away we take you away.
Well, there's always people who are very passionate about their side, but also you have to realize election interference, when you're close to a polling place, you have to be X number of feet away from it before you can.
Well, I think the workers were.
Right.
They were in the right of where they were supposed to be.
Right.
But now he's just yelling at them. How dare you support that person? You're wrong, and I'm right. This happened yesterday, Sue, because I was brought my daughter to vote for the first time.
Yep.
And after we voted, I told her, I said, now regardless of who wins, I said, tomorrow morning, you still got to get up. You still got to go to class. I'm going to go to work. The world's going to keep spinning, and the sun's going to rise. Life goes on. You may not be happy with the outcome, or maybe you will be. Doesn't matter. You still got to get up and go to class. Okay. And she agreed. And then she sent me a text.
Yeah.
Class was canceled.
Yes.
You know why?
No.
Because the professor had to take a mental health day. She was distraught over the outcome of the election.
for the
Here I am telling my daughter to do how to do the right thing,
How to be an adult.
how to be an adult about it, and the adult cancels the stuff.
Wow.
She goes, Dad, class is canceled because the teacher needs the day off because she wasn't
Okay.
happy with the outcome of the election. I'm like, I'm smacking my head. I'm like, my God.
Wow.
I'm like,
You should.
You
You're
can't
qualified,
make
man.
this
You should
up.
be out there teaching classes.
Well, and it's, you know what? I bet if you were taking economics,
Yeah.
I bet that class was being held.
Well, the stock market rose dramatically.
Didn't it?
yesterday.
Yes, it did, didn't it? So it's it's only a certain area, and I'm not sure. It could have been her English class. I'm not, or sociology. It was more of the liberal arts side of college, and not your math and sciences kind of thing, where things are black and white. It's but yeah, I said that's just unbelievable.
Wow, mind-boggling.
It is mind-boggling.
Did you see the logo on Joe's shirt? That's the substitute logo because he went to Boise State, and their real logo out there is potatoes.
It is not, Bob.
Potatoes, yes. That's
Although they did have out there a candy bar called Spuds,
okay.
and it looked like a baked potato.
Really?
Jeez.
Yeah. And I know it was chocolate covered and peanuts on the inside, and kind of like a Milky Way is what it really was, but a lot thicker.
Okay.
Wow.
And it was a Spud candy bar.
All right.
Yeah.
I just prefer the fact that he went to a school where their mascot is potatoes.
It is not potatoes, Bob. Although it is on their license plate, Idaho famous potatoes. I kid you not. That's a real thing. All right, Sue, it's time for a second message from the
Oh,
Blackstone Valley
I
Calling
thought you did a
Times.
recording on the first one, for goodness sake.
No, we did you first time. I can
Oh,
do
okay.
it. I can do a recording.
Anyway, so while things seem to be delayed in us or my getting you your award certificates, it is because they are printed, they're being printed, and then have to be delivered to the Woonsocket office. If they don't get here soon, I shall pick them up in Westerly. But for those of you who are getting a certificate, I will be to you. If you have questions, if you're getting one, give me a call. Call my cell phone, 401-487-4136.
All right, Sue, thanks. More coffee and coming your way. Time for the weather forecast being brought to you by Progressive Insurance.
Mostly sunny skies today with a high near 70 degrees and a breeze from the northwest up to 25 miles per hour. Tonight, clear skies, overnight low of 39 degrees. Friday's weather, sunshine and 62. Saturday, sunshine and 51. Sunday, partly sunny skies, 58 degrees, a breeze from the southwest up to 25 miles per hour. Sunday night, showers are likely, 80% chance. Monday, Veterans Day, a lingering chance of some light showers in the morning, otherwise partly sunny Monday with a high near 64. Tuesday, mostly sunny skies and 58, and on Wednesday, mostly sunny, 53.
Outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Ave and Kennedy Street with sunny skies, we have 60 degrees. Your small business keeps you on the go. Progressive Commercial Insurance keeps your policy within reach with their easy-to-use mobile app. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com.
Get hands-on with our creative crafts and learn how to create beautiful charcuterie bouquets that will wow your friends and family at the Honey Shop Academy, in the same building as the famous Honey Shop store next to Navigant Credit Union on Park Avenue. Did you ever want to learn about foraging for mushroom hunting? Our expert instructors will guide you through the wonders of nature, dive into the fascinating world of beekeeping, herbal medicine, permaculture, and so much more. With our horticultural gardening methods, you'll cultivate the skills to grow a thriving garden right at home. Don't miss out on this opportunity to enrich your life, make new friends, and explore your passions. Call the Honey Shop Academy today at the Honey Shop. Today, 401-766-1488 to learn about our upcoming classes or to schedule your own private group session at the Honey Shop Academy at the Honey Shop store. Hey, let's check the entertainment at Chan's Fine Oriental Dining, 267 Main Street in Woonsocket again. Tomorrow night, Friday night, November 8th at 8 p.m., it's Johnny Hoy and the Bluefish. 25 at advance, 30 at the door. Island Dance Party with Martha's Vineyard's best bluesy dance band, Johnny Hoy and the Bluefish. Don't forget to bring your dancing shoes. And then on Saturday night, the 9th, 8 p.m., back to Chan's again, the Love Dogs. Boston's own lovable rockin' swingin' and septet playing original jump blues, R&B, and New Orleans funk good time sounds. It's the Love Dogs. $20 in advance, $25 at the door at Chan's, and oh, they got great food too. At Chan's Fine Oriental Dining, Main Street in Woonsocket.
Hi, I'm Greg Bell, the host of When Radio Was.
Why, Mortimer.
Bill.
Is that you under that blindfold?
Bill, with this thing on, I can't see who I am.
No, I imagine not. Can't you see anything at all under that blindfold?
On a clear day, I can see the blindfold.
You can.
Yeah.
When Radio Was, shows from the past for today's imaginations.
When Radio Was airs Monday through Friday, right here on ON 1240 Radio at 11 a.m. and 11 p.m.
All right, Coffee In on ON Radio. Joe Callahan here, along with Sue Tesser McKenzie and Bob Lauder. And Bob, time for first message from your law office, please.
Thank you. Good morning. This is Attorney Bob Lauder. I'd like to talk to you this morning about magic words and how their absence from some documents may have an impact upon the legal trail left by the documents. The first set of magic words involves the manner in which grantees, that is, the individuals taking title to real estate, have their identity reflected on the documents of conveyance. When more than one individual is receiving title to real estate, they may be identified in a variety of ways. The document of conveyance may just have their names alone. It may have their names as tenants in common. It may have their name as joint tenants. It may have their names as tenants by the entirety. How the recipient chooses to receive the property will have an impact on how the property may be conveyed in the future should one of the parties have died before the date of conveyance. If the property is held as joint tenants, or tenants by the entirety, which is a title reserved to married couples, upon the death of one of the parties, the survivor has the right to sell or otherwise convey the property entirely on their own. However, if the property is held as tenants in common, or does not specify a form of tenancy, upon the death of one of the holders, the interest in the deceased does not pass to the survivor, but rather reverts to the estate of the deceased, and will be the subject of probate administration. That is not to say that in all cases the owners of real estate should be identified as joint tenants or tenants by the entirety, for there may be very good reasons why the property in the event of the death of one owner should not automatically pass to the other, but rather into the decedent estate of the owner who has died. In any event, should the tenancy to the property not be specified in the document of conveyance, it may be prudent to discuss this matter with your attorney. If you think my office may be assistance to you in this or other legal matters, please call me for an appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. And the famous disclosure. The Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
All right there, Bob. Thank you. And I don't know if you saw this story yesterday during the election day. Up in Boston, some of the polling places ran out of ballots.
What?
Physically, we don't have any more. Yeah.
That is
I don't
planning.
know. It sure is.
Right.
So the Secretary of State's office is planning to contact election officials in Boston about the shortage. Some polling places in the city actually ran out of ballots, and police officers were sent to get more because the polls closed at 8 o'clock. You know, here they are trying to rush around the city of Boston at 6 o'clock or so, and it's rush hour and trying to get more ballots to certain places. The city posted an apology, to voters last night, the night before on X, for any inconvenience or confusion, because now you're in line, you just keep on waiting and waiting. Now, they're not going to close the polls at 8 if you're still in line, but still.
Well, you explained that you've had precinct voting. So the precinct must report how many electors they have on the rolls. So if they say in your precinct 7, they have 1,500 people who could, on the rolls to come in and vote, you'd think they would have 1,500 ballots available for those electors.
In case they all show up. Yes, you would think so. But isn't there a rule, it is in Rhode Island, I'm not sure about Massachusetts, where if you're not registered to vote, but you show up anyway, you can still vote for the president. not anything else. So therefore, we give you the special ballot. That's a rule here in Rhode Island. I don't know about Massachusetts.
I would think that would be. I'm not aware of the rule,
Okay.
but
Or
if
the law. Yeah.
if I were to show, and in Rhode Island they have at least the prospect of validating your identity through your driver's license, and they scan it into a central system to see whether or not you voted before. But if you're talking about Massachusetts in this way, and if I show up at the last minute and I'm not listed on the rolls as being an anticipated voter or someone who's registered in that particular precinct, I don't know how they would be able to confirm that I was a real elector or I was somebody who was going from precinct to precinct to cast votes again. Because, as you said, in Massachusetts, they look at the roll in front of them and they see your address and they confirm that it's you, but verbally. But if I came in off the street and said, I'm Bob Lauder and I live at a
Whatever
street,
street, yeah.
made up a street, and it's not in their rolls because I haven't registered before, I don't know how they're going to be able to make sure that I'm a actual bona fide elector. That's very seems very strange in Massachusetts.
Well, that's why they're going to do. We're going to have an investigation. But you're right. You know, where I voted in my town, you only voted in one place at the high school,
Right.
And that we're broken up into 7 precincts. And you think they would look at it? Okay, there's 7 precincts. There's 30. Let's say there's 30,000 people that live in town. There are 25,000 registered voters. You know, divide that by 7, and okay, you all get 1,500 or 2,000 ballots. Always go a little over, and so you shouldn't run out.
No.
And so that should be done at other places as well. Kind of like here in Woonsocket, because you have different polling
Right.
places. Okay, we know that there's 10,000 people. That's a little high. There's 5,000 that can vote at where'd you vote?
I voted Harris School.
Okay, there's 5,000 registered voters at Harris School. We should have 5,000 ballots here, in case they all show up. They probably won't, but we should have that. Same thing in Boston.
Right.
They should be able to look that up. We've got 10,000 registered voters to vote here. We should have 10,000 ballots. Why don't we? Why weren't enough printed?
I have no idea.
And
that makes no sense.
where do you go to get more ballots?
Right.
Kinko's.
You go to is that where you go? Okay,
Yeah, you photocopy the last set you had and
I guess.
make new ones.
So yeah, that's bizarre.
Wow.
And you saw and I saw the Boston News. You know, 2 cops here they come in. You know, like they're carrying money out of the bank. You know, here we are coming in with the ballots. So
Wow.
Weird.
It is, and it shouldn't happen.
No.
So that'll be the first thing that the Secretary of State in Massachusetts takes a look at. Why did this happen, and how do we not have it happen again? I guess that's
Because all you saw, well, not all, but you saw a lot of the how do you avoid this, that, and the other. Yeah, and that was on the news all week from different places.
Yeah.
Okay, this is how this is done. This is how this is done. And they just kept pointing out, no, that can't really happen. And that is so, kind of, I would call that a defense tactic myself.
Yeah.
Just pointing out how this can't possibly happen, and then something like that happens.
right. So, okay. I know you're probably following this this subject, Bob. The story, but the third person charged with running the high-end brothels in Cambridge and Watertown, Massachusetts, is set to plead guilty next month.
Okay.
James Lee of California now scheduled to appear in Boston Federal Court December 18th for a change of plea hearing. Lee is currently facing federal prostitution and money laundering charges. The alleged ringleader of the brothel network, Han Lee, and the group's booker of clients have already pleaded guilty and are awaiting sentencing.
Okay, they must have, through their lawyers, evaluated the evidence, saw that it was likely that if the evidence went before a jury, there would be a conviction on them, and decided they would try and work out a deal with the prosecutor to make a recommendation to the judge that a particular sentence be imposed.
Now,
that doesn't mean the judge has to agree to it.
okay.
But it's what the prosecution is suggesting, and frequently a judge will take the prosecution's recommendation into deep consideration.
Now, what people have been clamoring for is the list of people that have visited these brothels, because we've been told it's high-end people, political figures, sports figures, things like that, and people want to know who's been doing this. Now, if the 3 of them plead guilty, do you think part of the plea is we're not going to release who these people are?
I have no idea about that.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. They won't tell us, Sue.
Well, I don't know what my thought process is on that. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think that releasing a list like that has all kinds of potentials. It
Sure
may
does.
bring to the public eye the fact that you have been alleged to have been one of the patrons at the brothels, but that's going to damage your reputation. And suppose you've never been there, but your name just was added to the list as a joke or by mistake. Do you want to have that published in the media? Probably not.
Well, no, not if you're innocent, of course. But I know one of these guys. It's already come out.
You know them?
No, I know one of the guys, one of the ringleaders
Oh, I'm
here.
sorry. I thought you meant an admission.
Has a book.
Oh, all
with
right.
2,800 listings.
Okay.
About 100 of them are the prostitutes, but the other 2,700 are all the Johns
Okay.
that have used it, and that's what people are trying to get their hands on. Well, who are these people?
Right.
So it's pretty extensive. So
Well, I would be surprised if there's any
ever comes out?
deal that makes that be released. No.
all right, Bob's going to get to court, so we got to let him go. So
Thank you.
thanks, Bob. So it's time for a second message, though, from your law office.
Thank you. Good morning. This is Attorney Bob Lauder. The second set of magic words I'd like to discuss with you illustrate the continuing evolution and interpretation of the law. Those words are the phrase, time is of the essence, which sometimes appears in contracts and was originally interpreted to be the classic phraseology of a drop-dead date, i.e., if the agreement was not consummated by a particular date and time, it would no longer be binding on the parties. However, there are circumstances when, despite such wording, the time of performance of a contract may be extended. In the case of Thompson versus McCain is a case in point. In the Thompson case, the parties entered into a written agreement whereby Thompson agreed to purchase property and to secure the transfer of a liquor license. The parties envisioned that the transfer would be approved by the Town Council of Jamestown within a couple of months. Despite filing the application in a timely manner, the meeting of the council was not scheduled to take place until after the closing date. There was communication between the parties. The buyer sought a continuation of the performance date, and the seller hesitated. The buyer eventually instituted litigation to compel the seller to sell and to secure an injunction to prevent the owner from selling to others. At trial in the Superior Court, the justice ordered the owner to perform the obligations of the sale. The owner took an appeal to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court of Rhode Island ruled in favor of the buyer, despite the magic words that time was of the essence in the performance of the contract. The court wrote, "Under a purchase and sale agreement, the purchaser becomes the equitable owner of the real estate, and the seller holds legal title as a security interest." The continuance of the closing date was for a little over a week from the original closing date would not have been unduly burdensome to either the seller or to the buyer. If you think my office may be assistant to you in legal matters, please call me for an appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. And the disclaimer. The Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
All right, Bob, thanks, and thanks for joining us today. We hope to see you again next week.
Thank you very much. I hope to be with you next week.
All right, more Coffee Hands coming up. Stay tuned.
Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse offers authentic homemade Polish food to make your next meal special. Try our many varieties of hot and fresh pierogies with onions and what they call dirty sour cream. Or pick up gołąbki, kielbasa, babkas, or some fresh rye bread. We also offer a large selection of specialty and imported foods. Open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, 9 in the morning till 6 p.m., Wednesdays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays from 8 to 5 p.m. It's Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse. Follow us on Facebook and learn about our weekly specials. Located at 855 Social Street, Woonsocket, Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse has all the authentic Polish foods you love.
Hi, my name is Yvette Houle, and I'm from Holy Trinity Parish here on Park Avenue. I would like to let everyone know that we are holding our annual Christmas Bazaar in our Parish Hall, 1371 Park Avenue, Woonsocket. It is also handicap accessible. The date is Saturday, November 9th, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Featured will be many booths with handmade and crafted items, baked goods, penny social, gift certificate raffle, special raffle, split the pot, and theme baskets. Visit our Santa and take photos as well as give him your wish list. Our kitchen will be open for lunch, which will include the popular Dynamites, hamburgers, hot dogs, fries, onion rings, and Venus de Milo soup. If you have any questions, give me Yvette Hool a call at 766-5663.
It's Coffee In here on ONAM and FM. Thanks for joining us. This is Joe Callahan here with Sue Tessier and Mackenzie from the Blackstone Valley Call-in-Times. And Bob Lauder had to head off to do his lawyer thing in court and like this. And I'm just hearing about this story, Sue. And we talk about things going wrong with the MBTA up in Boston. And it's mostly got to do with trains breaking down or catching on fire or the bus is not running right. I hadn't heard that there's another scandal going on with the T. And the MBTA has fired 2 more workers at the Cabot Yard facility, which is in South Boston. Now, this Cabot Yard is used to store and maintain the Red Line trains. But what's going on is the workers that were there, when they got nothing better to do, they're working on their own cars to repair them. I'm like on company time. Like, are you kidding? Six people have been fired.
Wow.
At the Cabot Yard over the alleged side work being done on the company time at the facility. 7 other workers there remain on paid administrative leave over this scandal that is going on. So more firings may come.
Wow.
And I didn't know this had started to happen, but we just got the story now, and I'm like, it's like, how did you not think you're going to get caught? And maybe, but then again, maybe they've been doing this for a while, and they say, well, we always do this, and we never get caught. So what's the big deal?
Well, like I've heard of, because my husband was in the car business, so I have heard of. This is your job. Let's just say cleaning cars, detailing cars.
Yeah.
That's your job. Your job is to detail the cars. Oh, we're at a low. That car's still in the body shop. It won't be here for another hour.
Mm-hmm.
Now you did something. You did your own car because there wasn't another job to put in.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't sound like the case because there's always issues with the
T, yeah.
with the T, yeah. So it doesn't sound like the case.
Train car,
but I've heard of it happening in that respect. That's like you're in a restaurant, no customers are there. It's time for you to eat now.
Well, yeah, okay.
But again, there's way too many problems for them to have that leisure time available.
All right, you looked it up. We were discussing off air when Donald Trump was the host of the show The Apprentice on NBC. When did that show run?
2004 to 2017.
Wow. Okay.
He was host. Donald Trump, who was the show's host for the first 14 seasons.
Okay, because then he became president.
No, first 14 from 2004 would be to 2000. No, but I don't think he was.
He became president.
That
he was
doesn't
elected
make sense, though. That's
he was
only
elected
13.
He was elected in 2016, and would have been inaugurated in January of 2017.
Yeah, but this doesn't make sense because 2004 and 14, it's 2018. But the Apprentice show, I don't recall seeing it that much.
Late. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like in 2018, The Apprentice wasn't on. It says it only went to 2017.
Yeah. Okay. All righty. Well, anyway, moving along. This is a bizarre story. And it's got nothing to do with politics, Sue.
Good.
And an emperor penguin showed up in Australia. These things hang out in the South Pole. That's a long trip to swim.
You're not kidding.
to Australia. He turned up at a beach thousands of miles from the Antarctica. It is described the penguin as malnourished because all your food is back there. Maybe you don't like the food that's around Australia.
Wow.
Penguin is malnourished and said the animal is under the care of a trained local wildlife carer. The penguin's rehabilitation will take a few weeks, and then I guess they'll bring it back. But I can't believe he made it and wasn't eaten along the way.
Well, that's my thought. My brain's going with wow, he survived that. And it doesn't look like a case of somebody smuggled him in?
No, he swam it because he turned up on the beach. And if he's... it doesn't mention anything about being smuggled.
Yeah, I was just curious. But then again, but being undernourished, if you smuggled it, if you owned it, you're feeding it.
Mm-hmm. So here's the here's an issue dealing with electric vehicles, and something I hadn't thought of yet. And now I will keep this in the back of my mind. A Tennessee man says his pickup truck was stolen while he was charging the battery in his driveway. So do you have to keep the keys for the
Yeah, how
vehicle
does that work?
in
Yeah.
the vehicle and like have the vehicle like turned on while you're charging it, or you just I don't know. So the man, Scott Hill, tells a TV station in Memphis he left the vehicle running in Memphis on Monday for just a few minutes, and when he came back outside, it was gone. So I guess you're not supposed to keep it running while you're charging it up. However, the faulty battery helped him recover his truck after it died at a gas station. The man
Stupid criminals right there.
Well, they're not going to know it's got a bad battery. but he's lucky he's okay, because Hill approached the alleged thieves, who took off on foot, but were later arrested by police. Hey, that's my truck. And so they took off. I think he needs a new car battery.
Unbelievable.
But well, it's always it's a crime of convenience.
Yeah, because it was
It's
there.
running.
It's running. They
There's
take
nobody
it.
around. And how many times you pull into a convenience store and you see a car running in the parking lot?
Which is stupid. I mean,
I think so too.
in my previous line of work, which was the limos, and when I went to a customer's house,
Uh-huh.
it's 20 degrees out. I'm leaving my car running for
Yeah.
my customer. But at the end of the day, you're putting yourself in a spot.
Yeah.
But it's what you do. You pull the limo in the driveway. Just because it's a limo doesn't mean someone ain't going to take it.
Yeah, that's right. It just happened here in Woonsocket. So someone was left their car running in the driveway.
Yeah.
And someone was walking by and said, "All right, I'm taking it."
Right.
And it took off.
It's like you really have to think ahead, man.
The only time I do that is I'll pull out of my driveway, and then you get 10 feet down the road, I've forgotten something.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. Turn around, come back in the driveway, but usually I have someone in the car. Like my wife's in the car.
Right.
I'll leave the car running then to run in the house to grab whatever I forgot.
Yeah.
Because I don't think someone's going to steal the car if someone else is in the car.
Oh, that happens, though.
But I'm sure it does happen.
Yeah.
So but I'm hoping it doesn't. All right. The Wizard of Oz ruby slippers that were worn by Judy Garland are being sold in auction at the end of this month. The shoes were on display at the Judy Garland Museum in Minnesota until they were stolen in 2005. The shoes were recovered and returned to their owner, and the museum has been raising money in hopes of getting them back through the auction. You know how much they're going to go for?
No.
$3 million.
Holy camole.
The slippers have an estimated value of over $3 million. And there are people that love buying movie memorabilia. And they'll pay for this. You remember Gene Siskel at the movies, him and Rod? His biggest claim to fame is he has the white suit from Saturday Night Fever.
Does he really?
And well, he did. He's passed away now, but
Yeah,
it was part of his collection. And he put it on a mannequin, put it in a glass case, and it was just in his house. I have it.
Wow.
So, and some people like they like collecting that stuff. So.
Oh, I know. You're just gonna have the means to do
Well,
that.
yeah, but when you're looking at $3 million for a pair of shoes, I'm like,
That's what I'm
well,
saying.
I'm okay on that one. I'll stay away from that one. All right, not a good study here. A new study suggests that feeling more sleepy during the day as you get older could mean you're at higher risk for developing dementia. Yikes. I don't like that. In the study published Wednesday, over 35% of those who experienced daytime sleepiness developed a cognitive risk syndrome that could lead to dementia. The syndrome often results in a slow walking speed and memory loss. The French authors of the study said establishing the relationship between sleep dysfunction and cognitive risk is important because early intervention may offer the best hope for preventing dementia.
I can't even comment. I
know it's tough to wrap your head around. I was so looking forward to taking naps.
See, I'm not a napper.
You're not?
No, which would explain a lot. Which would explain why I remember every freaking detail of my life.
You're one of the few.
I might occasionally say I don't remember the name of that movie.
Yeah.
But
All
that's normal. Everybody does that.
Well, sure. So okay. And we had this story this other day. You know, and Bob used to talk about it all the time. You're not going to win the gazillion dollars from the Nigerian prince. You should get emails like that.
Oh, those emails.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute. Is he talking about those emails and
Yeah.
texts? And
Well,
okay.
because Bob used to talk about them and say, you know, they're not real and it's a scam and like that.
Exactly.
But here we go. A 40-year-old Nigerian national has been arrested for allegedly running romance fraud scams, and he stole over $3 million.
Oh my God! What? Do you want the shoes?
I don't think so.
Damn.
Let's see. The prosecutors say he would meet people on dating sites and gain their trust.
Oh, for the love of God! You know, I'm on Facebook the other day and I see this thing come up, and it's Old Navy,
Yeah.
and it talks about pajamas, Christmas pajamas.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, oh my God, I'll get one of these for my kids. You know, my daughter, her husband, and her
All right.
2 little kids. So I call her up, I send her the things, look at this, see what you want. So I go on, like, they were like $3.99 for each pair
pair,
of
okay.
pajamas, right?
It's a good price.
So I am about to
Hit
make the
submit.
purchase.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm looking, I said, let me call Old Navy. It wasn't real.
Oh, wow.
You may have been able to get those. I'm not
Yeah.
saying you couldn't, but putting in your credit card, it had nothing to do with Old Navy. This was not Old
okay.
Navy pajamas.
I see.
It was somebody that piggybacked an Old Navy ad, it looked more like.
One victim of this guy from Nigeria gave him nearly $2.5 million.
Oh, for the love of God.
Yep.
What in God's name?
And there's at least 4 victims.
Wow.
So that's this person's full-time job. That's what they do.
Not anymore.
Well, not anymore. They've been caught. All right, that'll do it for the show for today. Thank you very much for listening in. Always appreciate it. Thanks to Bob Lauder, who's here. Sue, thanks for coming in today.
No problem. Thank you for having me. Have a wonderful rest of the week.
All right, I'm Joe Callahan. Enjoy the day and stay tuned for Gary Smith and the crew. Do you remember coming your way at 9:30 here on ON AM and FM.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now, the news. Well, here's another one of those long overdue library books, but it's a little closer to us than the recent ones.